XtoolS1. Is this a machine for you? Stick around. So I'm not going to do an open box. I'm not going to show you what is included. I'm not going to be checking the material that they gave us for free. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to tell you what I found with this machine. The biggest question, and this is something that I saw already in many videos. Everyone is doing a review, and everyone is doing the review on the 40 watt that they go for free. But is any good? It actually works or not for your needs? Can you run a business with this machine? Definitely it's not a portable machine. So this is not something that you want to carry to a show. You're going to have this machine on your garage, your office, like I have it right now. And probably you are thinking, I'm going to get the conveyor, I'm going to get the razor, and I'm going to make this machine a workhorse. You might be disappointed. Let's just start for working area. So they give us a piece of wood that is 11.5 by 8.5 as a test on the free materials, and you put it there and everything looks awesome. But then you got to remember the average material that you buy in every hobby shop and every store around is going to be a 12 by 12. This is your maximum top to bottom or Y distance. You will probably get out with another 15 wide. So let's call it 12 by 16 if you want. What happened is, seems like not everyone is getting the same area, and at the same time, the functionality is not exactly as it was described. So the working area in Lightburn seems to be bigger and seems to be smaller in Xtool Creative Space. Now, there's a couple functions that you want to use for this machine. Number one, everyone noticed, everyone mentioned it, anyone with 2 cents of common sense will say, why they didn't put a camera? And I'm agree. That's a big mistake. Second big mistake is the working area. Their software is restrictive on the working area. They have a gap on the top that you can't actually work. When you press the home button, the machine goes to home, but that home cannot be used as a focal initial point because it's like the corner of everything. So you have a good almost an inch of your honeycomb that can be used. On the user manual says put the honeycomb all the way to the right and all the way to the front, and that's where you should work. And still, I don't think they remember when they were kids that you have the shapes. So circle and cube shouldn't go together. The tray where you put your honeycomb has round corners, and your honeycomb is a sharp square corner. That is a mistake. So there's a couple things. I made a couple things to align it and try to help us to keep the honeycomb in place, because if you are repeating jobs, you will find yourself pushing everything out of the alignment. When that happens, well, you're wasting material. You are failing on produce or mass produce things. So with that being said, you will be aligning, and you are going to be all the time trying to make sure that everything is square, that everything is in the proper position. When that happens, you will find yourself with one big problem: time. You're wasting time. It's a pretty machine. It's shiny. You love how the lid goes up and down. I think the logo looks sharp. The lights inside make everything pop, not necessarily gray when you have a different shape of different elements to align on your honeycomb. And the lid, as you can see, is not strong enough, the hinge at least, to keep it in place. So you have to have a long angle. So works, yeah, it works. But it's something that you need to have for the machine. They are claiming right now class 1 laser certification. So I talked with a couple of friends. They work in the industry. They are engineers, and a couple of them, you know, understanding of what is a class 1 machinery certification. So there's a couple of things. For lasers, in this case, the class 1, and you can look it up on one of the last blogs from Xtool. Basically, a shoebox with a little bit of a structure that will block the laser or light to escape in any corner will get a certification of class 1. So let's be clear, sounds like a huge deal, but it's not as an important part as they said. In Europe, class 1 certification blocked them to have the conveyor racer because in the moment that you open the door to put the conveyor, that machine is not a class 1 anymore. With that being said, it's a class 1 only when it's without the racer and of course no conveyor. So whatever that opens the machine while it's working lose the classification of class 1 laser. Let's be clear on that. So don't be fooled. Class 1 doesn't mean that it has a nice shield like some people are thinking it is. Another thing that I found uh, that I like the idea of the autofocus, and I'm saying this because I built one autofocus. They use a system very similar to mine on the autofocus, but at the same time, their autofocus has a functionality that I really like. That is retract the needle so it doesn't get trapped or stuck with the stuff. They increase the length where the focal point happens, which give you a little bit more clearance, and that goes with the hand of the idea of having concave elements or curved elements to work on. So they did a lot of stuff right, but also skip a couple of things that will be important in my opinion. Now, do you need a 40 watt? Personally, I don't think so. You need a 20 watt, is kind of an industry standard now on a 20 watt. At the same time, depending what you're doing, you can cut in a fairly good amount of thickness materials, and of course, you can actually do nice and clean cuts. So this is a 3 millimeters acrylic. It was cut on 12 millimeters per second. Air was an auto, and we will talk about that. And it's like really clean. He did a really clean cut. So you will cut a 3 millimeters acrylic on a 20 watt with no problem and a fairly good speed. 40 watt will probably speed this up for 2 millimeters per second, and it will be fine. But at the same time, there is some issues, in my opinion, with the 40 watt. That size of the beam, even though doesn't seems to be that much larger, the heat that beam generates because it's a 40 watt diode is much bigger. So please remember this thing is a laser beam that is being piled with more laser beams, so it's making a bigger heat footprint. So don't only think that the size of your dot is what is matters in this case. It also matters how much heat is going to generate at the end of the beam and how much energy, and that will burn the small details, and that happens here. So when I did this cut, there's a little line here, and this little line seams cut actually was vaporized. That is gone. It wasn't part of the things that I got from the tray. So you need to think that about the 40 watt. Think that you're not just getting extra speed, but also you are getting extra heat. With that being said, you destroy your material, and fine details are not going to be there anymore. Now, let's talk about the air assist. So, I was playing with the air assist and I used the little knob to play a little bit and see how it goes. The automatic function works very well. On their software, doesn't really work very well on Lightburn. I have a couple problems there where doesn't go on the second layer. I can do it engrave with off, but in the second layer doesn't go on. On if you go on the next layer doesn't go off. So that might be a bug they have right now in their configuration file. Firmware, something XtoolS is famous to block the firmware so no one can touch it. And because that no one can touch it, no one will be able to fix it until they decide to fix it. Now, let's talk about some things that are, in my opinion, right. Number one is a fully enclosed machine that is very attractive, very pretty. And price point is still inside the line of other machines. They're not the first having a fully enclosed machine. They might be the first having a 40 watt enclosed machine. But honestly, if you are buying the 20 watt, not the 40 watt, you're buying a machine that is fully enclosed like many others. There's a company called Rolly. They have a 20 watt and a 33 watts, I believe. That is fully enclosed, and I tested the machine as well, and I'm about to post a video soon. Stay tuned on that one. It's really interesting. But finally, they go with the drag chains here, so no cables around, and that's perfect. That's now industry standard. The way they swap the modules. So I saw comments of people having issues with the module getting stuck. They took the screws out and they can't wiggle it out. Just tilt it a little bit on the front and pull it. It's a magnetic snap and it creates some force. So when you get the machine with the honeycomb, it comes with these little pins, right? So you will imagine that this will go on the holes on the honeycomb and you hold the material. And yeah, that's accurate. Now, I don't know if it's my honeycomb or what happened, but let me show you this because as much as you want to hold something sometimes, this is not the best. So the honeycomb here, I don't know, you guys will see it right, but it's not straight. This is not lined up properly. So these bars are curved, and of course these are curved as well. So what is happening with that is if I put a material and I use my honeycomb pans that they include, not everything is going to be aligned in the same place, so I need to play which one will hold it better. And personally, I think that's a mistake. That's something that could be, addressed on manufacturing process, especially with the quality control when you're gonna put something out on the market. But please, XTool, take notes of that. It's such a simple fix. You could address that before putting the product on the market. The software. Lightburn definitely is a way mature software and is being used with many companies on the laser industry, from CO2 to fiber lasers, you name it. Their software is coming along very well, very quickly. They are doing updates. They have a AI going on to create images, so point based or whatever, and they have a bunch of different tools inside that I believe are fun to use. There's a couple things that are missing that are critical for any design software, like lock your elements, not just turn it off or select to ignore. Lock it in place. There is a couple problems with the snaps. When you go to the middle, that snap the element, but it still let you move the element even though it's a snap in place. Let you move and you go off by a couple millimeters. So with those problems, you ask me, is this machine precise to do small things? Yes and no. It will depend your workflow. It will depend how much time you dedicate yourself on the framing. And speaking of framing, I do not understand why we have a machine that is out of focus capable and we can't work with real coordinates. Let me explain this a little bit further. So, the way Xtool likes to do things here are by hand. You have a machine that is capable of do everything automatically, but apparently they love us to be touching the module. They love us to be moving things around. So we have the crosshair. I hope no one gets the crosshair skew or move around because that is going to be a nightmare. So first of all, when you press the home button, let me press the home button on the software, the laser automatically will go to a home position, and this is on X and Y. So as you can see, I have this little tool here, and the lines are right in these corners. So let me take this out. So now you can see that my focus is not on what you will imagine is 0. So the honeycomb has the numbers in this line, and 0 in this honeycomb is not 0 at all. So I made just a couple things. The first thing that I made are these blocks that goes on the front, on the back over there to keep the honeycomb from moving. And then this that aligns my 0. When that happens, I can grab a material like the demo they sent, hold my edge, and align it there. So I have an immediate 0 position to start my job. Easy enough, but a big problem with Xtool. Not only because it doesn't align on the honeycomb numbers, but also in the software. Let's see that. So we're here right now on Xtool Create Space, and this is the area for the 2 point alignment that they used instead of camera. So you will see where the X or the cross is, and let me zoom in here. As you can see, I'm outside the working area, and this is the automatic home position. Now here is where my problem comes. Currently, the laser says that it's on X minus 1.2 millimeters and Y 21. That not always is the case. Sometimes goes to minus 1.4 and Y 21.1, 22.1, 20.5, 20.4, and so on. Home is all over the place. Another of the problems that we are seeing on the software is this big gray gap. So this big gray gap is basically the size of your module. The problem is the size is smaller than they advertise on your working area. And I don't know if that is correct. Yes, the working area is accurate based on the software. They advertise a working area like this big, but you can only use this area here. So I will hope they explain this better, because in Liber this area is a working area as well. Now, this is actually funny. I get annoyed by it. I know it's not a big deal, but you're gonna need to have a couple of these guys, the microfiber clothes around, because oh boy, does this machine love dust. whatever you do with this machine 2 seconds later is covered in dust. In this shield, you will see it. Trust me. So let's talk about the 2-point focus or 2-point alignment instead of camera. That is a system that they came up instead of using a camera. Why they don't use a camera if their big CO2 laser use 2 cameras for alignment? I don't know. Everyone else seems to be using a camera on the market instead Xtool. So let's do what I did with this. First of all, I home the machine and you will see that cross is right in the intersection that I have. And I put my material, hold my alignment, put my material in place. And when I do this, I select the function on the software called Start Marking. So when I do that, the machine automatically turns the button in blue and the little mark processing screen pops up. So what you do is you press the button once on the front of the machine. After that beep, you're confirming that you have the first. So you move your module and down here on the next corner is my second stop and I stop. Now I can hit done in the software and I can send my machine back to home. So the machine will go back to home and we're ready to use that size of material. Now, the corner that I use, that I print, that I have on my website, along with all the alignment, is one single thing. Helps me to make this quick and easy, and I don't need to worry about if my material is askew a little bit or not. This is perfectly square with my laser. Now, once we have that, we can start our jobs. Now, things that I found. If you are on a zero position like this, you will imagine, because where the laser is, that you can still focus there. Let me tell you, no you can't, because in theory for X2 created space, you are outside the boundaries of what you can use. You are right outside. So what you have to do, you want to focus, or you do it first before the 2 steps, or you can do it what I do. Move one to the right, one to the bottom, and after that hit focus. And your laser will focus. Go to retract the little needle and move back to place. When it move back to place, I will send it home just for the sake of keeping my area organized. You wonder if this is a machine for you. Let me tell you something. If this is a machine that you're going to have in your office, if you want to put it in the garage, or any other place that doesn't use a lot of space, that you don't need to worry about how much material you actually waste, because the size and how you align things, and you don't care much about those things. You just want to make like the perfect gift for your grandma. You want to do a nice sign that say pantry and cut letter by letter because it's convenient for you. This is a perfect machine for it. Price wise, maybe not. I wouldn't lose my mind thinking that Class 1 certification for lasers is the way to go, because shoebox, remember. But it's metal plastic, has a couple of metal parts, aluminum parts here, a couple of nice safety features like the lid will turn off your laser if the lid is not fully closed, and things like that. Is perfect for a person that is starting on the hobby and is going to be a hobby machine. That's what it is. Is a workhorse? Is your carry mule? No. Buy another brand, buy another laser, even though, depending what you're looking for, maybe a CO2, which is probably between $500 to $1,000 more, will work better. And please make sure when you see all these videos in YouTube with people reviewing the machine that they probably got for free or they probably bought it, I don't know, that you are aware. Doesn't matter what they say, the machine is safe, it has all the fire alarms and all the little things that you will imagine will make your life better and easier. Just make sure one thing, please do not leave your machine unattended. It actually says here, do not leave the machine unattended. There's two videos that I saw so far of people reviewing the machine. One is still, one says it's my first laser that they sent me for review. So I don't know why they choose random to send the machine. I'm glad they did, but they should come at least with a big email telling the people, do not say leave your machine working because it's safe. Do not use on unventilated areas. Yeah, it has a fan. It has an extraction hose. And I run it a couple times here and I have the fan going outside on the window. And it still is not enough. Depending how fast you're cutting, how deep is your cut or your wood, is the amount of smoke. And it's not enough. You still smell the smoke. So number one, educate yourself, read a safety guide, what you can do and what you can't or you shouldn't be doing with the laser. That's number one. Number two, ventilated areas. If you have a window, put a hose outside and still try to make it better. Get a better quality fan to extract, an inline fan, and things like that. You have to be aware that this is not a toy, this is not an inkjet printer. This is a laser, and depending what you burn is how toxic it's going to be for you. So, yes, it's class 1 for the laser, not for the smoke. This is not airtight, so smoke still will go out. Another thing, I saw a video last night that say the CO2 killer. Nah, please stop that. Let's be honest, as pretty as it is and as powerful as 40 watt is, a CO2 machine is a whole different machine, a whole different application for it. And a diode laser is a whole different machine and a whole different application. So this is nobody's killer. And if you kill someone, might be your wallet. So watch it. Great machine, yes. Beautiful machine, pretty, all shiny, nice lights. But you know what? You want to record things, they're not like anti-flicker lights. So if you want to put like a little camera on the corner, you want to have the banding going on the screen. So just to wrap this up, and I don't want to make a review where people is like, well, show me that test grid. You will see that everywhere. Go to any channel on YouTube and people are going to show you what they cut, the test grid, and tell you how much it was, if they like the smell of smoke. I don't care. I want to tell you what is good and what is not. That's it. And it's a good machine for a person that is starting. It's not a perfect machine. There's plenty of other machines that you will consider probably if it's going to be for work. Maybe not a diode. Maybe not this size. If you have problems with size, there are CO2 lasers smaller in this size as well, about the same price range. So just Google a little bit, ask around, don't be fooled for shiny things. And I want to mention something that happens a couple of days ago, I believe, or yesterday, with one of the users. He told me that I have permission to post a couple of things and mention it. So this customer was looking to buy one of these machines, and he saw people like me and other users asking about some issues that we encounter, like where the laser aligns to, how the bed is not fixed on the bottom, the working area is smaller than advertised, and things like that. And he was censored. and he was removed from all the groups that Xtool has. All the groups. He is a D1 owner for a long time. And when he asked one of the admin respond, you say in another group that is not from Xtool that you will never give Xtool more money. They consider that enough to remove you or ban you for the groups. I want to make one thing clear. I don't think that's the right mentality. You're trying to get your business into a Occidental culture. You need to understand that we love our freedom of speech, and asking or complaining or trying to just vent out on a group that is not even yours doesn't give you the right to censor people, because it wasn't insulting, it wasn't absolutely nothing against you. It was more a complaint about the price on some of your things that are not necessarily the cheapest, and it's exactly the same than others. So there you have it. Is XtoolS1 a good machine? Yes. Is a good machine from running a business? I'm gonna say no. It's up to you to decide your production times, your process. I mean, every person has their own things. I think they're targeting a different kind of people than a mass production laser products. But why not? It's pretty and shiny. Let's buy it. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you like the video, please click and subscribe. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up. That always helps us to grow the channel. And visit ilikepixelcreates.com to get all the coolest jigs, tools, and accessories for your laser hobby or business. Leave us your comments below, and remember, fire the laser.